If you're a clinic owner, you need a CRM. It doesn't matter if you're brand new, part-time, and only have 10 patients on your schedule, or if you have 5 clinics and 15 employees. Either way, you need a CRM. And one of the most common questions that I get from clinic owners is, which CRM do I use? There's a ton of tools out there, but realistically, the conversation always comes down to two different options. It's either you go with HubSpot or you go with Go High Level. So how do you choose? Well, luckily for you today, in today's podcast, I've got the answer for you. This is exactly what I'm going to be breaking down because I've used both of these platforms extensively. When I first started my clinic, I was in Go High Level. And then as I grew and got bigger, I used HubSpot for the majority of the 3 years that I owned my clinic. When we started running Patch, we built exclusively on HubSpot. And for the last 8 months or so, we've been building CRMs inside of Go High Level for clinic owners as well. So I don't just have an opinion on this. I've lived both sides of this decision. And I'm going to warn you, I'm going to be upfront with you. You're probably not going to like the answer. The answer to whether you should use HubSpot or Go High Level is it depends. And I know that's not a sexy answer, but when it comes to CRMs, there's no one size fits all. A solo clinic owner and a multi-clinic owner both need CRMs, but that does not mean they should be using the same exact CRM. Different stages of businesses require different levels of structure, complexity, and risk tolerance. And the good news is HubSpot and Go High Level have very distinct strengths. And those strengths lined up almost perfectly with different stages of your clinic's growth. So instead of arguing which one is better, I want to show you how to choose the right one for where you're at right now. So let me give you a little bit of context. If you asked me 2 years ago if I would entertain Go High Level, the answer would have been absolutely no chance. You should not be using that platform. And if you know anything about me, I've been a huge HubSpot guy for a very long time. I still am to this day. And that's because I used HubSpot for the 3 years that I owned my clinic. And once I implemented it correctly, all of the automations, the life cycle stages, the reporting, our clinic went from about 20K a month in revenue, $100,000 a month very, very quickly. And HubSpot is a really big reason for that. And I knew how powerful it was because I used Go High Level before that. Like most of you out there, when I started my clinic, I got sold into Go High Level. And at the time, I understood how important having a CRM was, but Go High Level felt clunky and it felt buggy and worked. It had all of the automations and the tracking that I needed, but it didn't feel stable and it was super hard to use, especially as I started to try to get my staff PTs to use the CRM. There's just no way that they were actually going to go in and update tasks inside of Go High Level because it was hard for me to even use. So as soon as I got to 20K a month, I felt like I could afford HubSpot, and HubSpot felt like a real software. I was trying to build a real business. So when I started Patch, part of what Patch does, and originally what Patch was, is we built CRMs for clinics. So building on HubSpot felt like the obvious choice. And early on, that was the right decision because early Patch clients, they were bigger clinics. They were multi-provider clinics. They were clinics that could afford the $600 a month HubSpot price point. But as Patch grew, we started working with more and more smaller clinics. And it forced me to like really think about what we were doing here and if this even made sense. Like, do we put some of these solo clinic owners in still a really good piece of software, but almost like a stripped down version of the HubSpot platform they should be using? Or do we put them in Go High Level? This is where price becomes super important. It's not a deciding factor, but it's a signal. HubSpot is a more powerful platform. The reporting, the automation, the scalability, there's no other CRM out there that is better than HubSpot. They're a $300 billion company for a reason. But if you're not consistently doing at least $20,000 a month at your clinic, $600 a month is a pretty heavy lift. And listen, that's okay. But smaller clinics still need a CRM. They still need automation. They still need follow-up. They still need a centralized place where all their leads go. And for clinics that are at that below 20K a month stage, that's where Go High Level totally shines. There's one more thing that we have to talk about when it comes down to price. And it's actually not about money at all. It's about ownership of your CRM. So most Go High Level accounts, they live under an agency umbrella, which means technically you don't own that CRM. The agency does. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I didn't use Go High Level for Patch members in the beginning, because a lot of agencies don't actually even tell you this. They sell it to you like it's your CRM, but legally and technically it's not. That agency could shut down your CRM tomorrow if they really wanted to, and you have no say in it. And that's not hypothetical, that's real. To be clear, like this is how we do it at Patch for all of our Go High Level builds that we do. When we build Go High Level CRMs, they live under our agency umbrella, but we're extremely transparent about that. And clinic owners know they're under our umbrella. And if they want to own it outright, like we help them transfer it out. We move the account and we get them set up in their own Go High Level account. There's no drama. But here's the key point with all of this stuff. If you're doing under $20,000 a month, that risk is usually acceptable. You're early, you're moving fast, you need leverage perfection. But once you get over that $20,000 a month mark, you cannot afford to be under someone else's umbrella. There's no real ifs, ands, or buts about that. You need your own CRM if you want to be a legit business. And listen, like this is a pretty good story to kind of tie all this in. When I sold my clinic, ownership of my Hubspot account was one of the biggest reasons why I got the multiple that I did. We had a super dialed in CRM. All of our data was in one spot. Every lead, every patient, every conversion, every system that we have, every automation, that CRM wasn't software, it was an asset. And if you're a bigger clinic and you want to sell one day and you don't own your CRM, don't expect to sell for very much because buyers don't just buy revenue, they buy systems. And systems only count if you actually own that system. So this is a very important thing to remember when deciding between what type of CRM that you want to use. So here's a simple rule that I use. If you're under $20,000 a month, start with Go High Level. For around $100 a month, you get automated email follow-up. You can get pipeline tracking, a central place for leads and patients. You get automated SMS. That's all you need at that stage, to be totally honest with you. Put the extra money that you can save into ads and grow. Scale your business, hire some employees. Then, and only then, once you get above that 20K mark, do you actually graduate to HubSpot. And this is where the platforms really separate. I think about reporting like this, okay? Because one of the biggest differences between Go High Level and HubSpot is the reporting piece of all this stuff. Go High Level reports, they basically answer the question like, what happened in the funnel? They give you like a really specific answer to what happened. HubSpot reporting answers, why did it happen? And gives you the information you need on how you can actually repeat it. Go High Level is campaign first. Did the ad work? Did the text get a reply? Did the lead book? And for a lot of clinics, that's totally fine. But once you're spending real money on advertising, once you're trying to scale, that surface level reporting is not enough. HubSpot lets you see which lead sources create the best patients, which conditions convert into plans of care, which providers close the best, where you should invest more money. Go High Level tells you what happened. HubSpot helps you decide what's next. And if you're trying to build a 7-figure clinic, you cannot make strategic decisions with tactical data. So here's something that most people don't expect on the automation side of things. For about 90% of clinics, automation is basically the same in both of these systems. Both HubSpot and Go High Level can send automated emails, they can send newsletters, they can both trigger follow-ups, both of them can move patients through the pipelines. That's linear automations. If this happens, do this, and that's great. Like again, that's what 90% of clinics actually need. But as your clinic becomes more complex, you don't need more automation. You need automation that doesn't break. And Go High Level, what we found, is great for simple systems, and HubSpot is built to handle complexity without all of the duct tape that you need to put together. The other deciding factor in the bigger difference between Go High Level and HubSpot is the usability and just like the actual human usage inside of the CRM, which is very important. Here's the simplest way I can explain it. Go High Level is easy to touch and easy to break. So it's easy to get into, easy to move around and understand what's going on, but it's also very easy to break. HubSpot is harder to learn, but it's also harder to mess up. Go High Level feels like a scrappy piece of software that was built, right? You log in, you see the pipelines, conversions, calendars, and the owner tends to poke around, you tweak things, and sometimes they break without realizing it. HubSpot feels more like a real piece of software. There's dashboards, there's reports, there's structure, and once it's set up correctly, you don't need to do much on the back end in order to fix and update things. You can look at numbers and make decisions. The best clinic owners shouldn't be in there and clicking buttons. You should just be using your CRM to read dashboards and understand what you need to be doing moving forward to continue to get your clinic to grow. grow. And for staff, it's the same story. Like Go High Level is certainly faster to learn, but HubSpot is slower and safer. And the biggest thing I think is there's just like the usability. Like again, we've onboarded over 400 clinics into CRMs. I obviously use it with my own clinic, so I have first-hand experience. In order to get a staff PT or an office manager or an admin to use your CRM, it is much easier for them to like and understand how to use HubSpot than Go High Level. Again, if you're just starting, it's just you, and you just need the automations, then that doesn't really matter. But that's why I like to recommend HubSpot as you continue to grow. So at the end of the day, deciding between these two platforms, it's very simple. You don't make it emotional. It's logical. If you're under $20,000 a month, use Go High Level. You get all of the automations you need. You get a CRM where all of your leads go into one spot. You can run your ads through them. You can, any of the local marketing events you're doing, you can set up automations there. That's really all you need at that level. If you are over $20,000 a month, I suggest using HubSpot. And that's it. That's the decision right there. We build both at Patch, and we don't force one or the other. We look at your clinic, your stage, and your goals, and we recommend what actually makes sense. If you want one of these built the right way without overcomplicating it, head on over to thepatchsystem.com, grab a strategy call with one of our clinic owners. We have two clinic owners doing these strategy calls. They both work in Patch. One of them uses HubSpot. One of them uses Go High Level. So again, we don't have any sort of bias to one or the other of these. It really depends on how much money are you doing right now? What are your goals for the clinic? What is going to make the most sense? Is it getting started and Go High Level? Let's get those automations set up. Let's teach you how to use the CRM, and then you can graduate to HubSpot. We can do a very easy transfer from Go High Level into HubSpot. That is totally fine, but you can go and you can book one of those calls. You can talk with one of our team members, and they'll point you in the right direction. Because remember, the biggest mistake clinic owners make is choosing software based on how it feels in week one instead of how it behaves in year two. And if you're under $20,000 a month, don't overbuild your systems. You got to use this stuff first. Just use Go High Level. Get those automations to trigger. Understand how to use a deals board and spend that money on growth. Put your money into paid advertising. If you're only spending $500 a month, double that number and don't pay for the bigger software. If you're over $20,000 a month, you need to own your CRM. You need real reporting, you need real systems, and that's where HubSpot becomes a competitive advantage. So hopefully this is helpful, breaking down the difference between Go High Level and HubSpot. I love both of these platforms. This is something that I wouldn't have said a couple of years ago, but we've been building on it for the last 8 or 9 months now with some of the smaller clinics that we work with. And it's been a game changer for those clinics because they really just need the automated emails and a place where all their leads can live in one spot. But for the bigger clinics, there's no question they're being built inside of HubSpot. So if you're interested in learning more about this, head on over to thepatchsystem.com, book a call with our team.